Okay, now e5 square here. You know, black doesn't have any pieces to put on e5 in this kind of position. So put the bishop on e5. You need that piece. I'm not sure if I should play bishop e3 or bishop h2. Bishop h2. If bishop e5, I take it off. But my bishop ends up very, very badly placed. Very badly placed in some situations. But still, you can't afford to play bishop e5 here. I don't believe so. There are too many positional downsides. Protected passed pawn for white, and the lack of protection on the dark squares or on the king side. So Shansha wants a rematch today. I think we'll have time for that, Shansha. And we got a long stream ahead of us. You got your game in early, and this quick loss, I think we'll go with the rematch at some point a little later, if you can still hang out for a while. So I don't know, you guys. There doesn't seem to be any real big Caruana fans in the Sparklehorse Slaggy corner. Nobody seems to. I like Caruana. He's a fighting player. He's very creative. He's imaginative, and not because he's an American. I'm not like a nationalist or anything. I don't care like where anybody's from. Actually, the most brilliant thing that Caruana did was like to leave the United States, become an Italian, get kind of sponsored over there on the Italian side, and he developed his career when he was living in Italy, basically. So the U.S. Chess Federation is totally lame. They didn't really help him at all. He probably wouldn't have got where he is at all if he had have stayed in the United States. So that was the biggest, most brilliant thing he could do. Getting out of the United States, moving to Europe, living in Italy, and playing chess under the Italian flag, where he was like a superstar. So I played him here when he was in Budapest. He was not even a GM yet. Someone like put that game link on the Twitch stream one day, like last week. It wasn't a really exciting game. I was better, then he missed a win in time pressure, and then it was a draw. I was like winning almost, like positionally winning against Caruana. But as I said earlier, these players and most players, it's very hard to learn positional chess. It's pretty easy to become good tactically, especially today with computer programs. So all these young players, not so much Carlsen, but Nakamura and Fabiano, were very weak positionally when they started for a pretty long time. But once they really became strong, they got training and they became equally good, in positional chess. I think lately Nakamura going out of his way to be playing very very kind of quiet positional openings, like English with white, French defense. I think that's good to a certain degree for Nakamura to try to focus on improving his play in these kind of positional quiet openings, but ultimately you should take advantage of your skills, So I think that Hikaru should be trying to play very sharp positions because he's so talented tactically. He needs to take advantage of that. So I don't think that Hikaru should be playing the French defense in a serious World Championship Candidates tournament or something like that. He should be playing the sharpest stuff he can play. He's very, very sharp and very, very good tactically. He needs to use all of his skills. So I really don't think he should play the French. He's just not maximizing his chances. That kind of opening. There's a streamer. Could be wrong. He told us a story when he was at a tournament. He was next to Naka. Naka lost a cry. I think he was talking about Naka's dad. I've never seen Naka. It's not really Naka's dad. It's his stepdad. But I've never seen Naka cry. It's possible. It wouldn't surprise me. But I've definitely seen his stepfather cry when he lost. bishop c8. So I'm not used to seeing Hikaru lose too much, even since he was younger. The first time we played, he swindled a draw for me, a pawn down. And the second time we played, it was kind of a quick draw. The third time we played, he made his final GM norm and beat me. But so I never got to see him cry. But his stepfather, who's a chess trainer, is famous for crying, throwing the pieces, knocking over the board, every kind of like immature behavior you can imagine. He's not a bad guy. He just can't control his emotions. So no, I mean, Nakamura has a very bad role model in that sense. So it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, but I can't verify that story at all. But I mean, he wouldn't be the first 13-year-old kid who cried. Usually you're a little younger. 13's kind of old to be crying, but I've seen adults, you know, crying, so you don't have to be a little kid to cry because you lost. I was accused of crying here the other day. I'm still sore about it. During my simul, complaining that everybody was like flagging me, but it was true. If you don't communicate your feelings, how's anyone gonna know what you're experiencing? So Will Wolf is in the lineup here. Guardian X9, Shah and Shah for a rematch. Black was doing decent until he overlooked his rook hanging. I don't think so. He was already down material. I cried. Everybody cries. I didn't really cry. I was accused of being a crybaby, but I quickly banned that guy because he sent like 4 abusive kind of comments in the chat. He's the 3rd player on it. Maybe there's only 2 players on the banned list. I don't know, 2 or 3 at the moment. So we try not to ban anyone. It hurts me to ban people from the Twitch chat, but you know, you just can't insult me like directly. You can say, you know, make fun of my hair or say I look like I didn't sleep yesterday. Okay, Will Wolf, it's a Sicilian. Are you going to play the Mora again or something different? Only Fabiano can kick Magnus. I think so too. I mean, he has a pretty good... He's had some pretty nice games against Carlsen in the past. And I would think that we're going to try a little declined. One of the reasons why I like this declined Mora sometimes, because I'm used to playing the accelerated dragon, the positions are sort of similar, a little bit similar, if I set up a kingside fianchetto. So it's kind of like a Marazzi. If white plays c4, which is actually one of the ways, well, there it is, he did play c4. One of the ways that white typically plays in these positions, I feel like I'm just playing a Marazzi. So, and now with the knight on c3, I can play a quick bishop g4. Well, I think white can get the bishop pair, but it's not that valuable in this kind of position. And this is like what Werenfeld didn't do against me. Cramped position, trading some pieces is oftentimes good. I cried, chess player 3, I cried when there was a spinning wheel. What? Okay. I don't know what that is. Geary do good stuff versus Magnus now. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any particular games I can recall, but he plays sharply. He knows a lot of theory. But Geary's... I did a video for my video chess training site for YouTube, if I can speak English properly. I have a YouTube channel I promote here called Video Chess Training on YouTube, and I did a Kramnik-Geary game. That game disturbs me a lot. You know, Geary's not really ready. It was a very bad game. You know, it looked like Geary's just positionally... he's 2700 based on theory and tactics, but he needs still a little bit more maturity from the positional side, I think. So Kramnik just beat him very easily. And if that can happen, I really don't think you have a chance against Carlsen when you get outplayed that bad by Kramnik. But it was just one game. Anything can happen. Rook and a to d1 here. That looks like an interesting move. So everything's shifting to the king side here for Will Wolf. And knight d5 in some position is going to be an idea. But he's got to watch the long diagonal. Now, what are you going to do about protecting the dark squares? So, the Chinese players, yeah, didn't qualify for the World Championship candidates. There were so many strong Chinese players, right? Oh, that's what I didn't mention. There's that Chinese tournament going on. There's a lot of rapid and blitz stuff. Another chess newsworthy item. I just can't say it. It's got these weird initials, and I knew I would like get it wrong if I tried to remember it. So I'm just calling it the Chinese Mind Games or something. Chinese Mind Games tournament. Can you guys correct me on that? I don't know. Along with all these Chinese players, there's some strong Western players like Navarra and I can't remember. I know Navarra's playing along with a few other very strong players. And there's very strong women's tournaments on the side of the main events. Here, Will Wolf, classical pieces set up in the center. I don't really want to give up my... I'll tell you, I don't want to give up my dark squared bishop in this position. So, how am I going to get my pieces developed here? Maybe a6. To try to play b5 at some point isn't going to be that easy for me to do. I could try to force you to play b3 at some point. Don't really know how I'm going to do that. What if I do knight e5, take the bishop, and then another knight e5? Queen a5 is interesting. I guess queen a5 is kind of a standard move. I'm going to flag here. 2 minutes. Elite Mind Games. Yeah. Mind Games. It sounds kind of funny. It's... Yeah, Elite Mind Games. So that's kind of taking place at the same time as this. It's earlier than the Aeroflot. It's already like half over, I guess. Maybe over already. Started last week. Haven't really been following it. So Will Wolf, I could take on c3 here. My kingside looks... Sack and exchange, probably. Looks like a reasonable approach. Let's do it. You guys saw me yesterday play a game against, I don't remember who it was. Oh, a master, right? With queen a5, queen d4, queen g7. So here we could save the exchange. I guess it just doesn't really matter all that much, to be honest. I don't mind giving back an exchange here. I have very good structure, 2 knights in a kind of semi-closed position. A pawn for it. The white rooks can't really do a whole lot with the open lines they have here. So I think this looks pretty okay for me. Now there are some discoveries. I can take a second pawn. Knight takes d3, rook takes d3, queen takes c4. I guess that's okay. We have, material for the exchange. Mamedyarov, thank you. I think it was Mamedyarov playing in over there. Yeah. Yep. You are correct, I believe. So we've got a lot of pawns for the exchange, and white doesn't have any attacking chances per se here. The rooks really lack open lines. Not to say this is like winning for black necessarily, but that's a good move, Will Wolf. I like rook b3. And I've got to be a little bit careful. A knight a5 is interesting. Not a great square for the knight, is it? I guess I could play... Rook b8 is very passive. b6. I guess b6. B6 may be better than putting my Now that's another pawn. I think that's important. B6 better than putting my knight on A5, probably. Now I think black is clearly better. 2 pawns is equal. 3 pawns is clear advantage to black. But winning is another matter, obviously. Just try to stay in the center. The knight needs a solid outpost. I think we've got it. Looks like we've got the solid outpost we wanted. So I can afford to even give back a pawn. This kind of position. Geary is tough to beat. No, guys, all these guys are great players. I mean, I don't mean to, like, take anything away. I'm not at that level, but you know, you need to understand that Carlsen is on another level. So it's just like you have to be like super strong to be able to beat Magnus. Yeah, we're aiming for a knight on d4 and a permanent power knight. Once we get our position kind of stabilized, we can think about maybe promoting a pawn or something like that. Queen g4, what are you doing there? What's queen g4? You're trying to trade rooks or something? Now this knight seems like it's as good as a rook. That's what they say. You know, a strong outposted knight can be as strong as a rook. I think this one qualifies. It's very disruptive. I mean, it's very hard for white to do something without allowing a knight fork. The a2 pawn is hanging. Now I have a way to win the exchange back here. But do I want to? Check, 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 take. Yeah, I guess I'll end up like a pawn or two up here. So we'll go for it. This is the best time control, guys. If you want to challenge me to like anything between 5 and 10 or even 12 minutes with a small increment, 2 or 3 seconds, that is the best time control for me. For us, for the time, you know, for the stream, to be able to talk about the game while I'm playing, basically. If you challenge me to a sudden death increment at the end, I just have to like make moves instantly, and I can't really talk about the game. So tiebreak over Ponomarev. What are you guys talking about? Welcome to Haymaker. Talking about Geary's score. He has a +1. Won 1 game against Carlsen. Hasn't lost yet. Okay, I didn't know that. But in any case, we shall see. My slight preference is for Caruana. But I think everybody's going to have a tough time, no matter what. We'll see, though. Geary is close to being a top. What is he in the rankings now? Is he top 5? I'm just collecting pawns. Very hard for white to have any threats here. I don't know the current rating list. I know Kramnik's number 2. And they're all like really close. Everyone's in the high 2700s. Aronian's up there. Let's just centralize. Obviously, any rook ending is a win for me. So, guys, we're just bantering about possible candidates for the World Championship and whatnot. If you just joined the stream, my name is International Master William Pascal. We're streaming on Twitch from thechess.org. And And our handle there on Lichess is Sparklehorse. You're watching us play Blitz with some of the viewers from the Twitch stream. If you'd like to play me, feel free to challenge me to a game. Queen b4 here. I'm not crazy about that too much. Maybe that's not the best. Let's check. Try to save some time on the clock, and then we'll play another move. I don't really like being tied down to that square. Will Wolf has picked off one of the pawns. Oh no. Will Wolf. Now we have to try to win this. Alright, I blundered it. Still there's winning chances here. It's not easy though. Will Wolf, you're very, very determined, aren't you? Okay. Wow. This is kind of a disgrace. To be up 3 pawns and not win. Well, I should at least be able to try to win here. Wolf, did you play in my simul on Sunday? I think you'd be right at home there. Queen c8. Maybe we can find a way to win this. I lost my queen now. Oh. Okay. GG. Yeah, that looks like a draw. You had queen h2, you win my queen, man. This was terrible. Okay, guys, we've got a lot of players. Really sloppy technique there, but Will Wolf is very fast. And couldn't find it. They're a tournament now. They stream about it. It's not a tournament. We're just playing. As a side note, there's also another World Championship. Starts the match Hui Muzichuk for the women's crown. Okay. So, lots of games here to play, you guys. GG, Adrian Chestnut, Green, Sean Shaw. Sean Shaw, play a few more games, then I'll play a rematch with you. So, I'll play anybody here, but I prefer to play mostly the players that are viewing the stream. Okay, GG, what else can we play here? D5 right away. Seems like an interesting move. I missed your simul on Sunday. Yeah, it was too fast. I need to play. I'm gonna add another 15 minutes at least to the time control. This looks like a c3 Sicilian, except you haven't played c3, GG. But the problem is knight b5 is a really annoying threat here, so it's not going to be easy to meet knight to b5. Play a bizarre move like bishop e6, maybe bishop d7. Bishop d7. And then knight c3, you're kind of gaining a tempo. That's weird that there's nothing I can do. Actually, I do have something I could do. I don't like it. Maybe e6. e6. e5. We could go e5. Okay, I see an idea here. How to deal with like knight b5. I'm not sure, but it looks pretty interesting. Corrupt bishop. I'm filthy bishop. I'm going to try to get to all the challenges here. Corrupt bishop is lying. His name is Nash Equilibrium. It doesn't matter, man. You can have as many accounts as you want, I guess. I don't know. So we're excited for the Candidates Championship to start soon. And my idea was to play bishop b4 here. I'm not sure how much this is going to change the position. Actually, quite a bit. It is going to change the position quite a bit. But I have to be prepared for knight b5. But knight c3 was a good move, GG. I think that was probably best. So x7-3 AR is also here. d5 is the Moscow variation, I think it's called. Sorry, in what position? Why not knight b5 there, GG? I wasn't familiar what position you're talking about. Will Wolf, where you're talking about d5. So knight b3, a simple, quiet retreat. You're not threatening anything. So I don't want to move my queen if I don't have to. We'll just castle, I guess. Could also play bishop f5 on the c2 pawn. It looks kind of interesting. Yeah, what would a computer do here? Try to find a profitable developing move. No, when white did f3, oh, d5. The joke was that his name was actually Nash Equilibrium. White did f3 here? You mean this has a name? I didn't know this opening had a name, actually. Knight b5 was perhaps better. Yeah, definitely better. After knight b5, though, I guess the position is like equal. Here you might be slightly worse. When white did f3, is that what I'm talking about? f3, d5? You mean f3 is the Moscow variation? Is that what you're talking about? f3 is more common against the Najdorf than it is. You can play f3 after e4, c5, knight f3, d6, d4, c takes d, knight takes d4, knight f6, f3. I don't know if that's what you're talking about. I mean, that's like a definitely concrete variation. And my teammate, Grandmaster Zoltan Varga, is kind of an expert in that with white. Leads to a lot of like endgames where white is slightly better and stuff. Speaking of which, interesting move, queen d2, sort of an unusual way of protecting the c2 pawn. You can castle by hand here. I don't really see anything special for black. We are a bit ahead in development. Castle queen side. Your rook on a1 will be shut out of the game slightly. But white keeps a pretty solid position here. I didn't have to trade on d2. but I thought, yeah, I mean, I think you have to take with the king to protect the c2 pawn. I'm not 100% sure. You can't sacrifice it, but I don't know. I really thought you should play king c1 there. Now we have bishop takes d3 with a slightly better structure, or e4, the more dynamic option. The problem with e4 is that after e4, pawn takes e4, knight takes e4 check. My bishop on f5 is like hanging in a lot of lines, so maybe we'll go with the simpler positional approach, trying to put pressure on the d3 pawn. So I don't know what you think, guys, but if you have any comments about the games, feel free to send it in. If you have any questions about chess in general, if you guys want to ever investigate taking lessons, send me an email. My email is videochesstrainer@gmail.com. Check out my YouTube channel. It's Video Chess Training on YouTube. All that information is in the Twitch page on the side, or below the stream. But what about chess? There's a good tournament here in Hungary I'm kind of promoting a little bit. The Zalakaros Open. If you guys ever want to travel to Europe and play in a Hungarian chess tournament, it's kind of the best open in Hungary. If you didn't know this, I'm streaming at you from Budapest, Hungary. That's why this is relevant. What I'm talking about is relevant. So now what? We've got an isolated pawn, slightly better structure, pretty good knights, but no, GG hanging in there. I think I'm just slightly better, very slightly better. GG's a tough player. I don't know, what is your level, GG? You seem to be pretty tough. Eric Hansen is a babe. Eric Hansen is one of those players who is like just a little bit too young for me to really know him. When I left the United States to move to Europe in 2004, I don't think he was just an IM, and he was just getting kind of strong. So he's just a bit of a young generation, kind of like John Bartholomew. You guys talked about him as a YouTube chess player. These players I don't know a lot about. Eric Hansen, I know he's popular here on Lichess because he plays here, or used to. Strong blitz player. I'm not sure I ever even played with him. But Chess Bra. What about this, GG? Now, that's looking like kind of a problem. The d3 pawn, you can protect it with something very awkward, I guess, here. But generally speaking, c4 looked like kind of a desperate move. I don't think you should weaken yourself. You're hanging pawns in this kind of position. I remember seeing Eric Hansen at some World Open, maybe like the last time I played. It was around 2003, I guess, in Philadelphia. But does that seem right? No, that's not true. Okay, I did play later in 2006. 2006 maybe. I played in the World Open. Okay, not sure if he played in that, but I definitely saw him in some American tournaments. Yeah, we are not winning by force here, but we're close. Guess I'll play f5. He's okay. You are old. What? Nothing's in Europe despite the French babes? Usually they're talking about Hungarian babes. So, French babes, that's kind of passé. You know, I think that was popular 100 years ago. I'm just kidding, guys. We're gonna lose on time. I am old. But old is relative, isn't it? We're all old and we're all young. The universe is millions of years old. Rook a2. Time goes by very quickly. I think you'll find here. What are we doing? Yeah, we've got a problem, a little problem with the e5 pawn. F5 was risky, was a bit of a risky move, and now we can try to break through. But I'm not sure, you know, if this is going to work, because we're kind of putting all of our eggs in one basket. And GG just hanging tough. Okay, GG has the structural problems here. That move, I have rook d4. Oh, we're gonna go in like a simplified ending where we are better, and we're gonna try to get something going here. We've got the better of it. I mean, knight endings are very unforgiving if you have pawn structure issues. Let's see, like, he wants to get his rook active. Whew, this is pretty close. Yeah. I don't know. It looks pretty close, guys. I'm a little better. Finally, GG blundered. I'm just trying to get out of any possible forks. Oh, you saw it. You dog, you. You saw the threat of b5. So I hung a piece. Anyway, good game. It doesn't matter. It was unrated, guys. The end doesn't matter. But that's the problem. The games kind of degenerate. So, Eric Hansen is a babe. You wouldn't be related to Jennifer Shahadi, would you? Or Alexander Kostyuk? Filthy Bishop Adrian. Anyway, it was fun. It was a good game, GG. It doesn't matter, like, who wins or loses. Nash Equilibrium. Oh, okay, so you're from the other side. Oh, so Nash Equilibrium is Eric Hansen is a babe. No, I'm just joking. I know. I got it now. Adrian Chess now. Sean Shaw, I'm gonna play you soon. Good game, GG. You hung really tough, and it degenerated there at the end when we had 3 seconds, just increments. You hung in exchange. I hung a piece. It doesn't really matter. Adrian Chess now. Welcome to the stream. What's this? Greg Shahadi? No, I said Jennifer Shahadi. We have Jennifer Shahadi visiting the stream here lately in the last week on Twitch. Once she brought along Maurice Ashley. We couldn't authenticate their, you know, DNA or anything, but that's what they said. So Bishop G5, D6. We're going to play the old Smyslov system. I'm kind of bored with this setup with white, but I haven't had any time to work on the old bayonet King's Indian in the classical. So I'm relying on this pretty safe system for white. You said I'm related. You could be the same person trolling us. That's what I was saying. But probably not. It was just a wild speculation on my part. The first opening learning, you think? What is that exactly that you meant? Oh, what was the first opening you played, or do you remember? Yeah, I bought this book by like Nigel Pova on the English opening. I remember that pretty distinctly. I also got like a Dorian book on the Sveshnikov, which was so complicated that it like Dorian is sort of insane. I mean, he's an extremely brilliant person, but he has some mental illnesses. Anyway, I mean, he wrote this book on the Sveshnikov that was like, it was categorized in chapters that were like chapter 3.2.17643, you know. It was like crazy, like a card catalog from from the library or something, you know, and it was amazing. But after that I couldn't really play the Sveshnikov. It was like over the top. The Dorian book just kind of turned me off. I was a beginner, and it was like insanely complicated. You know, Dorian is trying to analyze the whole Sveshnikov in one book. So I tried the Sveshnikov, but kind of got turned off by Dorian's book, and then I played the English opening with white. And thankfully, the Pova book on the English was a lot more simple, a lot simpler, we could say, in other parts. So, little did I know I would end up in the same country with Andras Dorian 25 years later. Living there. The world is an ironic place. So guys, Adrian Chestnut is playing a kind of unusual setup here. Generally speaking, double fianchetto doesn't work in this kind of position when white plays b5. He has problems along the c file structurally here. So if that c pawn was on c5, he would have a totally okay Benoni and everything would be fine. But in this position, he's trying to get some pressure on d5. Almost, you know, almost looks okay, but we have a couple problems for black here. I mean, one of them is that I can put a knight on f5 here, which incidentally will protect my pawn on d5 as well. This is something to watch out for in general. In these variations, when you play h6 and g5, you have to be very, very careful about weakening the f5 square. So, you know, I could take out his bishop on g7. It's lurking around his king all the time. So in this Smyslov variation where white plays bishop g5 in the Benoni style, like I did here, because I like to play it kind of Benoni style, yeah, you've got to be really, really wary about your... You got to be really wary about your king side. A knight getting into f5. Now here I don't really have a move I'm crazy about. I want to be able to reinforce that knight there, but maybe it's not necessary. I can play queen b3. Kind of don't want to let him to play knight e4 here, but I have a lot of options. I can't play e4 apparently. Bishop f3 I was thinking about. That's sort of artificial. He could play knight d7, knight e5, so I'm not really satisfied with that move. Queen c2 I'd like to play, but he just picks off my pawn on d5. So life isn't so easy here. We've got to find some kind of compromise. Maybe f3 is worth considering. The f3 might have issues too, like f3, bishop c8, and how do I protect my e3 and f5 at the same time? So we have to solve some problems here. Queen d3. Queen d3 might not be a bad move, like a temporary way of protecting stuff. Then he has bishop a6, probably not an issue. Queen d3, knight d7, knight c5, knight e5. We're going to lose a tempo there, so I'm not crazy about that as well. Kind of tough to find a move. Yeah, this position is good for white, I'm quite sure, but I have to find a good move here. Queen d3, bishop f3. His king side is extremely weakened. h4 at some point. I could even play it straight away here, actually, h4. But I don't really have a way of attacking g5. You know, to play h4 and weaken his king side is fine. But I don't really have a way to get at g5 yet. Maybe a little bit later. we can get at it. Let me see. How can we support this position? Queen c2 drops a pawn. Queen d3 I mentioned. Bishop f3. Queen d3. I'm going to play queen d3. I mean, I think it kind of loses a little time, but we can afford to lose a tempo. Play rook d1 to reinforce the d5 pawn. Benoni defense is just an inferior opening. Yeah, well, I mean, half of the popular openings are technically inferior. So now what? f3 here. We're in danger of dropping something like on d5. Guess we're going to reinforce this pawn on d5. Adrian chess now. I've been unable to put pressure on that weakness on c7. So I think he's got a pretty good counterplay. Very unorthodox sort of situation where he's weakened his kingside drastically with a g5, but I don't seem to have any way to concretely exploit it. My bishop on g3 isn't that great a piece, honestly. I would probably trade it off for a knight on e5. Maybe not immediately, but I would be willing to trade off this bishop because it has sort of relatively limited sort of usage in this position. I mean, it's sitting on the d6 pawn. It doesn't really have much future. Supporting h4. I wouldn't mind trading it for a knight in this semi-closed kind of position. 1g6 is true hypermodern, yeah. It's not as extreme as the Alekhine's defense. But now queen d4 is worth considering here too. The queen is extremely well centralized on d4. And whatever happens, basically, that piece is a super piece. But I might need to retreat the knight there at some point. So I guess we'll go with the conservative move, queen c2. But Adrian chess now, Adrian, in the West we say Adrian, but it's actually Adrian. Bishop g4 is a kind of cool idea here. Dramatically reinforcing the knight on f5. Threatening knight h6 check, incidentally. Basically forcing him to take. But I like this because he potentially gives me the h-file as an avenue of attack, and then e4. He doesn't have the knight, attacking e4, so it's easier for me to take control of e4 in this position. Whereas before he had this crippling control of e4. I thought he should probably, instead of queen d7, maybe think about knight e4 there. So this was a pretty long game, 7-2. You notice it makes a big difference, guys. I was able to really discuss the game in detail. When I first started the stream a few weeks ago, I was playing a lot on Internet Chess Club and playing 15-minute games. But unfortunately, we couldn't play too many games. We had really instructive games, but a limited amount of them. Wilf, you're the only one here who drew. Your game, Will Wolf, and Gigi's game both got pretty random at the end. Queen d8 now. Looks like we've got a real bind here. E4 followed by f3, king f2, and rook h1. Queen f6 now. Just kind of developing the queen. I could play f4 as well. but I'm going to execute the plan. We have another plan, actually, that might be stronger. Although, no, this is maybe a good move. I'm not sure. Knight d7 with the idea of putting the knight on e5. I talked about my bishop, guys, and I think I have a couple different plans. I can play knight b5, but I don't, really feel confident. So let's move the bishop. I talked about this bishop and its limited value. So now it's gone to becoming my second best minor piece on d4. It was really limited on g3. And I think one of the things you got to do is to be flexible in your plans. So we've changed the dynamic here. And I think he wants to play like h5 or something, which is fine with me. I mean, it looks pretty risky for black, actually. The h file that's my file. I don't know, the king f2 may be safer than g2 because of the long diagonal with the bishop on b7 here. I think h5 was his plan, but I don't know. I think he might get mated on that file. Now, having seen bishop c8, I'll put the king on g2. And white has a huge spatial preponderance, so it's looking very grim for black right now. And knight b5 probably is an option for me at some point. Maybe black should play a6 at some point to stop the kind of stop the threat of knight b5. I don't think it's a really horrible weakening or anything. Now this massive armada of pawns basically winning for white, and that move looks kind of forced. So here, queen e2 maybe. Thinking about f4, but I have a lot of different plans. Obviously, we can invade down the h file. I'm being a little bit wishy-washy here with my changing my mind, but now I like this h file. Rook takes g5 as a threat. He played this, and to get my knight in the game would be nice. f4. But black's hanging on. I mean, look, his pieces are badly placed. Queen on h7. Still, he's staying alive, basically. Queen b5. I might have to switch to the other side here. Basically switch to the other side to invade on the queen side to break through. So the classic kind of principle of two weaknesses. And gotta watch out for little tactics. Rook takes e4. Doesn't quite work. Okay, tough game. Adrian Chesnow. You really hung in there. But some positional improvements for black, I would suggest. Like not weakening the f5 square. Made it very hard for you. Sean Shaw, we owe you a game. Sonata, little chess friend from the Simul, recognize you. And Filthy Bishop. So I'm going to try to play everybody. We have a lot of time, over an hour left. Let's get a sip of water. Check the stream. Play me. It's the only thing stopping me from killing again. Don't make jokes like that. Me too, they're my neighbors talking. You hear voices all the time? You're hearing voices? Are they in your head or on my stream? You're the only one who drew today. Although Gigi kind of deserved to win after I hung a piece. X73. Okay, guys, let's see what's up. Lots of challenges. Yesterday, not so much. Let's play Nash Equilibrium. Oops, I clicked on Fluke first. Okay, Fluke, then Nash Equilibrium, and then a rematch with Sean Shaw. Fluke, let's go. Clicked on you by accident. You got lucky. What's up? Your challenge has not disappeared, Grinch. You're on the list. You're scaring me. You're 2015. But I noticed you like kind of last. Okay, Fluke, you've got like 30 seconds to begin the game. Did your challenge disappear? Don't worry, Grinch. I'm not going to forget anybody. I never delete anybody's challenges. I don't think Fluke was ready. Does anybody know who Fluke is? I just clicked on him by accident, but he's not moving. So I'm going to abort this game. Fluke can re-challenge me. Anyway, I clicked on him by accident. I meant to click on Nash Equilibrium. It's a 5-3 game. It's kind of fast. Then Sean Shaw, who's been waiting for a while. I think he was like the longest challenge in the list at the moment. Nash Equilibrium. We played yesterday. You play fast, man. So A6. Did you play Bishop E7 yesterday? Or was that somebody else? Similar to this game. Interesting. Rook B8. That's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen anyone play this kind of move order before. I'm not really sure I can do anything about it. Although, I guess the Bishop F4 might cause problems for black at some point in the near future. Bishop F4 isn't working yet. I'm just hanging a piece there. Bishop F4, Bishop takes D4, Bishop takes B8, Bishop takes C3. Yeah, I don't really like it. Does that make sense? I get that. You get a lot of pieces. So I'm not sure about Bishop C5 though. I don't like retreating my knight, but it is with tempo. And Bishop B6 now. Sort of non-standard setup for black. You can get very good control of the center here with Bishop F4. Also, wow, E5. Nash Equilibrium is a practical player. I remember playing yesterday and being a little scared about my king side getting in trouble against him in another English. He played Bishop E7 in that one, I think, a little earlier. But here he's blundering a pawn. Knight takes F6 check and takes on H6, and it looks lost. Black has very, very serious weaknesses around the king. So he can probably hold it together for a little while in this position. But ultimately, the King's position. You reminded me of the King's Indian or something. Why? Alright. Queen H5 and then rook to the D file. We'll try to tie him down, and can't seem to put him away by force here. I could play F4, really go for it. Actually, why not? Why not? Let's really go for it. He is close to getting mated, and I was going to play Rook D1, but this looks pretty bad if I can force F5 through. You need an evil laugh. Ha ha. Yeah, this looks grim. Almost held it together here, but I don't think so. F5. You resign, but don't resign. It's not mate. I don't have anything. Queen G4, check knight G6. I can't take on G6. You're re-challenging me. Maybe later. Trying to sneak in another game. Sean Shaw, Sonata, Little Chess Friend, Grinch. Alright, I'll do Grinch first. He was asking if his Seek is still there. Then I'll play you Sean Shaw. Segging, we say in Hungarian, segging is like poor. Poor Grinch, like waiting for his game. Sean Shaw already had a game, so I said I would do that game next, but I got a lot of players to get to. I'll do Sean Shaw next. We're going to get to all the players in the challenge list today. What's up, guys? International Master Bill Pascal. We are here from Budapest, Hungary, and we're playing every day at the moment on Lichess. Of course, we're not affiliated with Lichess or anything like that, but we've enjoyed Lichess. I like the software, lots of players, and it's just been fun. So let's see what's up, guys. English symmetrical x7 3 AR. Yeah, unusual setup there. Grinch is playing the Richter Rouser against me. Could be a theoretical player, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have too many theoretical types here on Lichess. You guys should work with the new opening program that they wheeling out the bishop e5. I haven't looked at this in years. This is like the original old school approach for white. Very rare variation. Nobody plays this. Not a fashionable line, but there's no reason why not. Last person I think I saw play this was like Hungarian IM. Old school Hungarian IM. Bela Lengel. Bishop b5. Bishop b5 is dangerous, though. Kind of a good sideline that you might want to take a look at. What does 5 plus 3 mean, says X Special. XP Special. 5 minutes base time and 3 seconds increment per move. So this is kind of our preferred. This is 5 seconds. This particular game we're playing against Grinch. I like the increment to be like 2 or 3 seconds, so that ultimately when it comes down to a time scramble at the end of the game, you're not like, the game isn't degenerating into a blunder fest, basically. And if you have queen versus queen and king, king versus queen and king even, you can actually get checkmate without losing on time. What about this diagonal, guys? Isn't there some way I can take advantage of that here? It kind of looks like a poison pawn variation. h6, bishop h4, or he can take on f6. But I think h6 is fine. We have tactics with knight takes e4, but I'm not sure that's really good for me. Like h6, bishop h4, knight takes e4, knight takes e4, bishop takes h4, knight takes d6 check. Those kind of positions, I'm not really that sure. Could play a really, really complicated move here, like g5. But it looks dangerous, honestly. So, I don't know what I had in mind here. Knight takes e4, knight takes e4, bishop takes h4, knight takes d6 check. King f8. And that looks kind of dangerous too. He's castled kingside, so I'm not worried about him like storming me with pawns. My intention was to think about knight takes e4 here. Now queen b6, he plays bishop f2. Maybe I should have just played queen b6 last move. I think it would have been simpler. That was my original plan, and then I changed my mind. G5 I could play as like a Leonid Stein, like full-on pawn sacrifice or something. Looks a little insane. I mean, a little insane. G5, pawn takes pawn, bishop takes g5. And then what? You know, what am I doing exactly there? Although it's an inspiring and interesting idea, I'm not really sure it's sound. G5, pawn takes pawn, knight h7 or something allows scary sort of threats. So let's try this. Grinch 11, what's your deal, man? Are you a strong player? Bullet rating, not that high. Blitz established rating. So he's not provisional. He's a really like solidly established rating there. Bishop takes e7, knight takes c3. We just keep taking things basically. Yeah, I thought knight takes e4 was interesting for white. The new opening book is awesome. What are you guys talking about over there? Knight e4 still looks good. Do you guys see a drawback? Well, I wasn't sure about knight takes e4, bishop takes h4, knight takes d6, check, king f8. But I decided to do it because I didn't really know what else to do. Once I played h6, I'm not going to just like castle because I've like weakened my king side without any particular reason. I think the most interesting move was queen b6 instead of h6 actually in that position. So, but this position is now, you know, white should have done something different because he's simply down a pawn here with, you know, like maybe a very small compensation. I would say like a third of a pawn. I mean, not even a half pawn compensation for white here. But on the other hand, it's a rook ending. Rook endings tend to be drawish. So even a clear pawn down, it's not necessarily lost for white. It's pretty easy, straightforward position to play. Don't have a lot of weaknesses except for your f4 pawn, Grinch. Speaking of f4 pawns, but I don't mind. I'm not going to take and let my pawn structure get shredded. Anyway, e7 is the best square for my king. I'm very compact. Don't have any weaknesses. Will Wolf, kudos to you, man. You played me tough many games now, so a draw is the least you can get. King e7, and we're good. So guys, I don't know, knight e4, man. I think white had better. At least he could make me forfeit my right to castle. And here, a little bit tied up at the moment. What about knight c6? Then he has knight b5. I don't really want to move my knight from e5 here. And just kind of sit tight. Sitting tight and expanding. Expanding the potential of my rooks. Rook c5. I don't want to play any more pawn moves than I have to. I don't think he has enough compensation for a pawn. But as I said earlier, rook endings could be a good place to look for draws down a pawn. What about my d6 pawn? I can always play d5 at some point. And the knight protects f7, so don't even think about doing anything on the f file. I can play bishop e8 if I have to. It's maybe not the most exciting position, but you've got to convert extra pawn up positions. And I think I like the way he's doing this now, trying to get some pressure on d6, maybe force me to weaken myself. I'm going to play a little bit aggressively here with a5. Threaten to win a piece. Get a little space. I could play knight c4 as well, by the way. But his knight is pretty tough. a4, I don't know about a4. I don't really want to like fix my pawns on white squares necessarily here. I'm going to have to play... Maybe I'm going to have to play d5 at some point. What's up, guys? I thought... Oh, you bought the book The Sveshnikov Reloaded by Rogozenko. I don't know it. Rogozenko is a guy who I played on World Chess Network a long time ago, some banter games. Dorian. And it's like, I probably played the guy a whole bunch of banter games. I'm sure he has a plus score against me. He's a good player. There's a lot of books on the Sveshnikov. There was an old one by Yakovich in the early 2000s, which was pretty good. Weird Al, as we called him. Weird Al Yakovich once ground me down in a highly unpleasant endgame. Alright, now, I've had about enough of this, to be honest with you. But maybe it's not the time to panic yet. Let me see. Knight c6. Let's just play knight c6. No? My rook is in a weird place here. Yeah, let's forget knight c6. Let's forget knight c6. I'm just going to do this. And I have rook f6 to protect. I'm sorry that that Grinch got a little bit of like a Nimzovichian kind of squeeze here. But a pawn is a pawn, you know, and I'm not going to be put off by a little bit of control of the e5 square. So it's okay. We'll live with it. We've got better king, extra pawn, active bad bishop. Good winning chances, basically. Minority attack. All that good stuff. So guys, what's up? How long have you been playing? 25 years is what he'll say. Probably longer than that, dude. More like 30 years. Knight b3 was interesting in that spot. Are you guys talking about dog years or human years? Is there something I should be watching for here? Like 95? I want to get in b4. I'm going to do it. You know what? I'm going to sack that pawn. How long have you been playing? This particular game, just 20 years. So, if he takes on b4, welcome to two connected passed pawns. What is that move about? c4. Is this some sort of trick? I don't see it. Normally I'm not that materialistic, but in this case, that's just too vital a pawn not to take it, basically. Grinch was really kind of cagey here, turning into Nimzovich in the ending, but it's a tall order, like down a clear pawn. Now he's down 2 pawns. I think it's pretty tough. And c3 is interesting, but maybe this is more solid. Bishop b5. So the increment 5 seconds is quite significant here, guys. Need to take your time. You can't play for the clock. It's very important. Got a surprise. And now I think this should be winning for me. Quality, not quantity. That's what we aim for. So active bad bishop, extra pawn, good king, and This move, we have this. So really ugly. I probably had that last move. Didn't see it. And I could play rook c1 as well. My materialist instincts making me play bishop d3. I'm having sadistic pleasure in this game. I like being up rooks. Okay, guys. What's up? So 30 years playing chess for me. Yeah, it was around 1986 that I started. 85. I don't know. Okay, good game. So Shah and Shah, Nash Equilibrium is hard to pronounce. Lee Chess Friend, Filthy Bishop, and Shah and Shah are the 3 next games. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Check out my videos on YouTube. If I get some subscribers for a change, I can, we've been operating for like a month, but if I get some subscribers, I can start making more videos, and I'll become a millionaire with a viral chess video. No, but seriously, subscribe and like my videos on YouTube. I also upload the streams here, kind of clogging up my YouTube, so I'm going to be deleting a bunch of them, but I'll keep them in there for like a month or two. So if you guys watch a stream and you want to see it, you can go to my YouTube, Video Chess Training on YouTube. You can also check out the old streams directly on Twitch. They're saved there for like a week, I think. Bishop b4. So the channel is Video Chess Training. It's on YouTube. All one word, Video Chess Training. Today I'm going to be making a new video. There's about 12 interesting videos at the moment I've got posted on there. So Shah and Shah, we're playing the black side of a Nimzo 8-3. This is a pretty long time control. But I prefer the longer games, actually. It doesn't disintegrate into... By the way, if you guys want to challenge me to rated games, everyone's challenging me to, like... Yeah, some of them are rated. Some of them, it's up to you. I don't really care one way or the other if it's rated or not. Do you know who Mato Jelic is? No, I don't. I think it's just some random guy. I mean, I don't think he's like a great player or anything. So it obviously sounds like a Serbian Slavic name. D5. D5 here. It's a little like a Leningrad Nimzo where the bishop is on c1. That seems strange, Shah and Shah, to play d5. I don't think anyone has ever played that against me. I mean, there should be some really dynamic way for black to play here. I could turn it into a kind of like Blumenfeld with b5. I think that's got to be like fully playable for black. Let's try it, man. I mean, we're here to experiment a little bit, you know. Sometimes I take it too seriously, and if you guys think I'm taking it too seriously, just smack me and say, hey, Slaggy or Sparklehorse, you know, take it a little lightly and experiment a little bit more, because sometimes I forget. We should experiment and try to play some interesting chess. So I had this in my mind because, like, I was preparing for my game the other day on Saturday night. I was preparing for a team match in Hungarian Team Championship against this young player. His name is Kantor Gergely Kantor, and I was thinking about maybe playing the Blumenfeld against the guy, but he just, because sometimes I play the Blumenfeld. It's a pretty awesome opening. It's a pretty awesome defense for black, actually, but the guy just doesn't allow the Blumenfeld. So he's afraid, or doesn't like to play d5 with white in these kind of structures. So I kind of had the Blumenfeld on my mind, Shah and Shah. That's why I played b5. I've also experimented with an insane move in fun games in blitz. When white plays queen c2 against the Nimzo, if you want to do something crazy, You can play b5 against the classical Nimzo. It's the creative Latvian master Vito Lynch played this idea. So queen f3 doesn't look right, but knight c6, pawn takes pawn wins material. So my plan was obviously to play this. And I guess this might be, maybe I went too far. I don't know. Maybe I've gone too far. It looks like I should have something here. Maybe I just simply take back and we don't have to do anything too fancy. But it's like 2 pawns now. I'm down. No, it's just 1 pawn. Okay, I was panicking. I was like, I'm down 2 pawns. Oh my god. I'm just down 1 pawn. It's okay. Yeah, I was really panicking. I thought I was 2 pawns down. Bishop takes b5 check. So queen f3 is an enterprising move there, Shan Shah. I don't think most people would have thought of that. And you gave me something to worry about. It's a little risky because your queen could be kind of exposed, but it certainly seems pretty dynamic. And I'm going to see a King's Gambit. I don't really play the King's Gambit. I wish I did. So bishop c6. That's going to like win more material if I play knight d7 here. So I guess I just have to settle for this mundane move, bishop d7. Black has pretty good development. I mean, it kind of feels like a normal kind of Blumenfeld, right? I have sacked a pawn for open lines and development. But I haven't been playing the Blumenfeld too much. It's one of those openings I've kind of forgotten about. So I've got a lot of weird lines in my repertoire that I play from now, time to time, basically. And then I lose track of them after a while. When you play a lot of different stuff, you just kind of get in the habit of playing one of the lines and then kind of forget about the others. It's kind of what happened with this opening. Though honestly, guys, it's not a Blumenfeld. It's a Nimzo. It's a weird Nimzo. It just feels like a Blumenfeld because I played b5. Though I guess theoretically it could have transposed. So bishop d2. We're just going to not hang our pawn on d5, I think, here. Although, is he really threatening to take? The jury is kind of out on that. I mean, it looks sort of dangerous. Looks sort of dangerous to take on d5 here, honestly. Yeah, I think he can't do that. He can castle queenside, and the position is really dynamic. But it looks like black has play along the f file, and yeah, this is pretty dangerous. So if knight takes d5, bishop takes d2, that's not good for him. He has to develop his pieces. Hey all, game per frame. Queen f3 was strong. You thought queen f3 was strong? I don't know if queen f3 is strong. It may be very strong. But I think it's a difficult move for a human being to play, If it's good, it's good. A computer would play it and probably consolidate. But I just thought it was original, And I'm not sure if it's strong or not. I can only tell you after I've had time to really analyze the game. But it seems like a difficult move, although very creative. A difficult move to play because white has to find very exact moves, most likely. Yeah, it looks easier to play this position for black, basically. Motto means kill in Spanish. Yeah. They're talking about a Croatian name. There's no motto of Serbian. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I couldn't base one way on the motto part. I was just going with the other part of that name. So Serbo-Croatian is not my field of expertise. So bishop d2. Can you show the position after queen f3? I just got here. Yeah, I can click on the position. It was a very bizarre opening, and then white played queen f3, hitting my rook on a8, and knight c6 like allows cb, and I think, you know, I can't save the material, so I have to play d5, and then he takes on d5, and I take back. He takes on b5 with check. I have to play bishop d7, and then he trades, and then he played bishop d2 here. I don't know if bishop d2 is best or not, but there is a threat of d4, so I thought it might have been possible to play knight on g to e2 for white there. I did see queen f3, you know, in advance when I played this. I knew I had d5, but I wasn't sure really what the evaluation was. Black has more than enough compensation for the pawn. Looks that way. It looks good now. Again, he can castle queenside here, but it looks looks like he's losing material on the f file, like knight e4, basically. So it was a creative opening by both sides, but really d5 isn't good. I mean, it's not like this was some mainline opening. He played a very risky move, d5, and I tried to exploit it, and maybe I did. But white, you know, doesn't have to play. He obviously doesn't have to play that d5 or queen f3. These were very experimental moves. So here I think we need to try to act fast, basically. We can't let white, you know, have another tempo to develop. We have to get him while the getting is good. It is worth noting I have to watch out for like checks on c4. Knight d1. Knight d1 is obviously, you know, intending to protect f2. So it doesn't look that easy for me here to break through immediately. It also protects e3. So very solid move for him. And I think we need to really go for it. So I'll play knight e5. And this is more intuitive than calculation based. But obviously the e file is really dangerous, and his king is in the center. We want to get in on d3, possible. And I'd like to open lines, but I didn't want to take on e3 there and bring his knight to e3, where I thought it would be a pretty solid defender, and help him kind of untangle. So I think taking on e3 is probably not my best option. What is the name? Yeah, yeah, I named it after the American alternative indie band Sparklehorse. It's just my name for Lichess. It's not like my, you know, my name for life. I have different names on all chess sites, and this happens to be my name for Lichess. Not a lot of significance attached to it. On Twitch, my handle is Slagi, which has a longer story behind it. But all of my Hungarian friends, it's kind of a poker kind of poker nickname for me. So when I started the Twitch, and I wasn't sure I might do some Twitch streaming for poker as well, but I've kind of put that on hold at the moment, focusing on chess. So here now I guess I have to take on d2. I could take with the queen on d4, but I'm not... Yeah, I could take with the queen on d4, actually. It's worth considering. Worth considering taking with the queen on d4. Let's go with it. Looks pretty strong, actually. We got this massive lead in development at the expense of one pawn. What stakes do you play poker? Basically, I'm a tournament player. I played sit and goes, everything from like low stakes. In my history, I played all the way up to like $500 sit and goes, mostly lower stakes, and I played lots of tournaments. Again, every stakes like between like low stakes and even like $200 buy-ins, MTTs, and live higher than that, you know, so I'll play up to like $2,000 buy-in live tournaments. I would play higher if I had a bigger bankroll, but if anybody wants to back me for live tournaments, you know, feel free to talk to me. Bishop takes b4. We have knight d3 check here. So I've never done I don't know, king f1 is king is so safe there, you know. Do I really want to do that? He's gonna go there anyway. Pawn takes, queen takes, bishop takes b4. Rook e8 is even worth considering here. Alright, we just had to be practical. Queen takes is check. Kind of saves a tempo. So it's interesting. I really don't know, guys. I have good compensation, but I don't see a knockout in this position. I guess now I'm going to take with the pawn here. He has knight f3. I'm wondering if I made a mistake. Wonder if I made a mistake with that last move. Possible it was bad. I'm a little bit sorry about this. I think I had better. I really do. Now I've got to be careful where to put my queen. Queen d5, queen d6, queen d7, queen d6. I misplayed this, guys. I'm sorry. I'm still okay, I think, but I had better. I'm like 100% sure. It's not that easy though. He has to watch out for knight g4. I still have compensation, but I feel that I messed this up. Okay, here is interesting. So I have knight. Sometimes I have like knight takes f2, or knight e4 threatening knight takes f2. But I feel we let him out off the hook here, very much so. What about knight e4 for me? Quite complicated position. Let's do this. And I saw this. Wasn't really sure what's going on here. Just repeating moves at the moment. I don't know what to do. Okay, we're both flagging, so anyway, we'll call it a draw, but I think that black had very good, still has very good compensation, but I didn't really know what to do. Maybe I have queen b5 there. I can play queen b5. After knight c4, queen b5. But I'm not really sure. Very complicated positions. White might try to flag considering he's 2100. It wasn't a rated game, guys, but it was interesting. I think black had really tremendous compensation for the sacrifice material. Probably I was winning, but couldn't find it. So Sonata and I think someone left the challenge list. VFant. VFant, Sonata. I don't know which one of you guys challenged me first. So we're gonna try to Bishop takes d2 was very strong. There were a lot of candidate moves. That was the problem with the position, guys. It's very difficult sometimes when you have a lot of plausible moves. But not enough time there. If my flag wasn't hanging, I would definitely play for a win. So I feel that I still had very good winning chances and very good compensation. I played a kind of weird move here, bishop d7. This could transpose to a dragon, but Leonid Stein played this for black. There are some interesting kind of sidelines. Let's go with the mainline dragon. See what it's not really mainline because I played bishop d7, but it can transpose. Let's see what we're up to here. I didn't play a dragon in a long time. So let's see. Most people know the theory better than me. I could take on d4 and play b5 early, but that's with the bishop on c4. So this is different. g4 now. And my theory is not really up to date. Bishop takes g4. I don't think I can be sacrificing any pieces yet. Queen a5. Knight takes d4. Lots of candidate moves. But this is a line that I don't really know. So I'm going to have to just wing it here. g4. You could sack a piece, but I don't believe in it. It's not really. It's unsound. I mean, to do that here. Bishop takes g4 now. It's looking pretty sketchy. Similar positions, it is done. Interesting fact, don't put your face close to a dog face. What are you guys talking about? This is not a chess comment. What do I want to do here against VFant in the dragon that I don't know? I should have exchanged on d4 and played bishop e6, but I was committed to bishop d7. So I was committed to d7 and bishop d6 and bishop d7 early on, transposed into the dragon. Now I don't know this line. What can I do here? Knight e5? I guess knight e5. I mean, with the idea of kind of standard kind of play based on rook c8 and c-file. Try to sack an exchange on c3. There are also sacrifices on g4. But I don't claim to know this position at all. Just wanted to try something different. Guys, we're streaming here every day, Monday to Friday, for 2.5 hours, 10 a.m. to 12:30 Central Eastern Time. We're doing a simul on Sunday nights, so check that out. I'm going to start 15 minutes earlier this week, so 5:45, that's 17:45 Central European Time here on Lee Chess. I'm going to add 15 minutes to the simul because last week I didn't have enough time. There's trolls in your chat. You should mod 1, 2, or 3 people when you can. Game per frame, 1, 2, or 3 people. That's kind of excessive, don't you think? I didn't see anything too bad. No, I don't really know what you're talking about. Trolls are everywhere, but nothing too dramatic here. at the moment. Now we could really sack a piece, or we can play h5 maybe. h5. Try to keep the king side. Try to keep the king side together. I hate trolls as much as the next person. Swedlife, is that you? Swedlife? KHB? Have you been accused of being a troll? Now if black goes rook c8 and knight c4, what would be 2 tempo up? I know, man. Julie, I know all about that. I'm not really in the mood for rook c8 and knight c4. I know that's terribly slow for black, so yeah, I'm not looking to do that here. I was hoping for something a little bit different. Now, I don't know, 98 or 98 looks like it's a little easier to get the piece back in the game. But we have some problems here, strategically. This position is suspect for me. I would be the first person to admit it. Game per frame. I don't like knight bishop d7. Too early. Yeah, it's not the most flexible line for me, of course. But again, we enter the realm of practicality. People know every line of Sicilian like perfectly. So it's hard to come up with new ideas game per frame. We're trying to come up with some kind of new positions that people don't know by rote, you know, and it's not an easy thing to do. So there are a lot of grandmasters who experimented with the early bishop d7. Personally, Konstantin Chernyshov comes to mind, like a 2600 Russian GM. And the absolute chess is not to be found in the absolute truth is not to be found in any games under 2700 for the most part. So I really try to focus on practicality. In my own practice. Now, knight d5 in some positions could be a problem here. Maybe like right now. Knight d5 takes on a2. I don't think he can afford to do that, can he? You can't give me a2 here. Do you think the d4 should be an illegal move? Absolutely not, Swedlife. Absolutely not. I think the c3 Sicilian should be an illegal move. Well, we can sack the exchange here, I guess. We have some compensation. Pure exchange sacrifice. Good structure, 2 bishops. My knight gets in the game. I think there's a good chance to pick off one of these c pawns. And his e4 pawn doesn't look very, very healthy either. So, okay, this is dangerous though. Played f5. And I'm not looking for that. V-Fant playing very well. I guess we're just trying to hold a draw here, guys, basically. That's the plan. Try to make a draw. I saw Fischer hold a similar position, or even win it against Korchnoi. But, yeah, this position shouldn't be underestimated. for black. It's not that easy. I think black has good drawing chances here. And white could even theoretically lose. So I don't want to let him in, though. V Fant, though, playing awfully well. B5. King D7. I'm paranoid of Bishop G3. What am I doing? Bishop G3, right? I have to play Bishop G3. Absolutely. Now Bishop H3 doesn't work. So we're back to Bishop here. The important significance of this move is that I cut him off of the F file, which kind of threatens to play like King D7 without him playing Rook F8. It's pretty significant in this position. An opening is only good depending on how you play it, how your opponent responds to it. King's Gambit seems just bad, yeah. I think it's important to have an open mind. That's hard for people to do, it seems. Interesting. King B3. King B3, King D7. King B3 is... Wow. A4. Just trying to keep my position together. V Fant. Not really sure, but I can see what you're doing there. Time. Guess I'm lost here. Maybe not. It looks lost. Looks pretty much lost. The V-Fan played awful well. You play like your master strength, dude. Basically. So good game, V-Fant. Best game anybody's played against me in a long time. Master strength. Sonata is also a strong player. So I don't know. I think that game was pretty experimental, sacking the exchange there. But V-Fant played pretty much perfectly. Nice win for V-Fant. Definitely master level game. Okay, Sonata, I've had trouble against you in the simul's. Guys, we have about 20 minutes left. Congratulations to V-Fant for a good game, who took me out in the Dragon. Corrupt Bishop. Free Rook? What are you guys talking about? I don't know. Let me see. So, okay, unusual position. I have played this quite a bit, and I have all different moves in this position. A5, Knight A6, Bishop E7, G6. I've played everything. This is another one of the openings that I've had good success with over the board, but it's not really theoretical. Okay, d5. White should play knight f3. I mean, I don't know why so many people play d5 and take on e5. In this old Indian, the one clear plan that's the best for white is to play 4 knight f3 and keep the tension in the center. Sonata here playing hyper aggressively with f4. And you give up the e5 square here, but I guess it's, you know, a position where you have enough space that you can kind of justify it. So very aggressive play by white with f4. Maybe bishop g4 is interesting here. I can trade a piece and relieve my spatial disadvantage. This is just one possible plan for black, though. Sure, there are many ways to approach the position, but it just seems like black has a lot of weaknesses on the dark squares, and this is not a position where I really need I need a bishop pair. He has very concrete weaknesses on the dark squares. If I can trade dark squared bishops, then black is just clearly better. So anytime you play like f4 in the King's Indian or Czech Benoni or anything like that, you have to take care that you don't lose control of the e5 square. You miss a rook. You could take it with your white bishop before exchanging your black bishop. Last game? Okay, a couple people are talking about I missed a rook last game. I could have taken a rook. Totally missed it. Wasn't real happy with my game, though. Maybe that affected my play. I didn't feel comfortable in that opening. The dragon, I don't know. And then I know the position is dubious for black. I sack the exchange. It's really... It's not really good when you're making an exchange sack where the best you can do is draw. And theoretically he could lose, but I think that's not a realistic possibility. Though if he hung a rook, yeah, he can lose, definitely. So I have to find something better there than sacking the exchange, I think. Maybe it was enough. I don't think so. I think that it's probably a win for white with best play. So Sonata here. Now I'm taking a pawn. Slagi wants Anand to win. Right. I try not to ban anybody from the chat unless they're really getting on my nerves. But as long as we're not like insulting people, I don't care. So this looks lost for Sonata. He has this down a pawn, no compensation, very weak squares in the dark squares. So f4 comes with its risks, and had to play a way to. He had to find a way to play. I mean, I think f4 was okay, but he has to find a way that I don't conquer the e5 square, as is the case here. This position is really easy for me to play. Just put the knight on c5, play b6, not even need to play b6, and I just play queen g5 or something like that. Here I can win the exchange, I guess. Deep down, there's a part of me that doesn't want to, because my knight is so strong, but I have a rook going to e5 and a knight going to c5, so we have plenty of good pieces here. Who do you think will win the candidates? We talked about this a lot, guys, and I feel like I've been talking about it too much, but who do I think will win? I think that Caruana is a slight favorite. I think I'd like to see him win because he has the best chance against Carlsen. of the players in the candidates, but let's face it, guys, it's one tournament. I mean, what am I doing here? It's one tournament. I mean, that's a pretty small sample size you're talking about. So I don't really think anybody will win. What if a c6 is good here? It's too hard to predict. It's one tournament. But and knight c5, e5. He finally gets in e5. He's forking a5 and this. So c6, take, knight d4. I guess c6 is pretty strong. It's sort of like just meets the needs of the position. But Sonata is a fighter. I was going to play queen b6 here. Not absolutely necessary, I guess. But it looks like a good square. He's threatening knight f5, I just realized. Wow. That's a problem. That is a problem. That is not going to happen. And I've got to stop. Got to stop white here. So Sonata, playing very practically and fast. He's moving instantly. I wonder you beat me in the simul's, man. No, he took his time though in the simul's. I was complaining about players playing too fast, but Sonata takes his time. This is dull. Yeah, I understand, man. You like to play hyperactive chess. So, Will Wolf, I think you need to work a little bit more on this kind of position. Where things aren't so open. And g6, pretty dangerous for me, actually. I have to be careful. Knight h6 check, king h8. Probably, what's that about? Wow. Scaring me. You have the nasty trick. This defends my queen, so Sonata's tricky. Oh, you mean the candidate ceremony thing? What are you talking about, ceremony? There's a ceremony thing? It's too early for that, isn't it? Is it starting already? Queen g7. Queen d4 check first, maybe? Nah. We'll play queen g7. I didn't realize there was a ceremony thing. Chessbrowse streaming hyper bullet. That's really pretty sick. I guess we're ready to play f5 at some point here. And very strong threats of knight d3. So Sonata craftily creating a lot of threats, but running out of stuff here. I mean, f5, h5 are covered. The bishop's bad. So, guys, I think we're going to have time for one more game after this. Filthy Bishop, I owe you a game. And that'll probably be it for the stream. Knight d3 now, threatening queen d4 check. He's got knight e2 there. Knight e2 there. It's just the move he needs to. What can I do? Guess I play rook c8. And Sonata hanging on, as usual. Guys, there was a heartbreaking simul game against Sonata 2 weeks ago, my first simul, where I just struggled and I hung on to a drawn rook ending, and then I just blundered in the last moment. So Sonata, we have a loss, a draw, and a loss against. Well, two were simul games, but I don't remember the other one. was a blitz game. Don't recall. Too many players having 2.5 out of 3 against me. But I know 2 of those are simul games. Not too many Grandmasters have even 2.5 out of 3 against me. A few have that score or better that I've played against. Like to trade pieces if I can. Rook c8. You guys are watching a stream about the candidates tournament, really? A ceremony stream? I've never watched a chess ceremony stream. Definitely, that's like worse than watching darts or something. I mean, I like baseball. I know a lot of people don't like baseball because it has a tendency to be boring. But watching a chess ceremony, yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot of fun. Rook takes f1 check, knight takes f1, and ought to have something here now. Rook c1. Filthy Bishop, thank you for waiting patiently for your game. We had a kind of long queue of players who wanted to play today, and Filthy Bishop. But yeah, now we've got a piece, I guess. So we're gonna take it. And if this was a simul, I would criticize Sonata for not resigning. But it's not a simul, so it's up to him. He can play it out if he wishes to. It's my pleasure. The blitz game is another thing. You know, I don't think you need to resign necessarily because you're down a piece. Chances to win on time and whatnot. Here I'm going to take the fun out of this position. And I don't think there's much hope left. Finally, I get a win against Sonata. The first time I've ever beaten him. Hopefully not the last. Okay, guys, last game against Filthy Bishop. We've got playing this guy for the first time. Good luck, Filthy Bishop. Thanks for waiting. Yeah, he's got a link to FIDE News, Candidates Tournament Pairings. I'm interested to see, but again, it's one tournament. Anybody could win. You know, it's a pretty balanced field. I think that anyone could win. I mean, who knows? Svidler is like the underdog, but I think even he could win. You know, on a good week. The players are close enough in strength. Filthy Bishop, it's a Bogo Indian. I play a5 mostly when I play the black side of the Bogo. I thought about playing this in my tournament game the other day for the Hungarian Team Championship, but the Bogo it was a kind of boring, solid positional player I was playing against, and I didn't want to play a Bogo because the Bogo, I'm sure that Will Wolf would agree, it's kind of dry. Yeah, Knight c3. I had this game against Alexander Goldin in the U.S. Championship once, and wasn't really happy with what happened after b6, bishop g5. He played against me. So I think we're going to go with something a little more fundamental here. d6, and trying to get like kind of classical e5 in the center. Filthy Bishop. Not really sure what the theory says about that position. Here I can play knight e4 and get the bishop pair back. It feels like a kind of standard approach. Not exciting, but solid for black. Solid is what we aim for in the Bogo Indian. One thing you need to be careful about maybe is a4. The pawn does cramp white, but we do have to be careful it doesn't get picked off. Did have a recent game on the stream like 2 weeks ago against somebody pretty good here. Maybe it was in the first weeks of my stream when I was streaming on ICC actually. I think my A pawn got picked off. We're going to try it though. It looks pretty easy to defend. It takes a while to play something like knight d2, knight b1, knight c3, so I don't think we're going to lose the a4 pawn. And in the meantime, we try to play solid, maybe get an e5 to give our bishop some scope, and keep an eye on the a4 pawn. Doesn't depart from the position anytime soon. I did drop that in a stream game a few weeks ago. So, but it freezes white's queen side. And it's definitely one reason to think twice about playing a3 in these kind of structures. How do you think Paul Morphy would do against the top GMs with his style? Morphy played against 1100s. I don't think they were 1100s, Swedlife. He was absolute genius. And there were strong players. Not as many as there are now, but how would he do? He would hold his own, probably. But it's like this, comparing generations is a very, very tricky thing to do. What do I do here? F5? 5 might allow him some counterplay with like G4. But everything allows him counterplay with G4 in this position, I guess. I could play King H8. King H8 is kind of interesting. Let's see what Filthy Bishop wants to do. But I don't know, dude. I mean, all of Morphy's opponents were 1100s and very weak. He didn't play like Lewis Paulson. I mean, there are definitely some strong masters that Morphy played against. I guess Paulson later, but Morphy had some matches against strong masters. Adolf Anderson was a very strong player. But I don't really like comparing people from different generations. It's like kind of insane to try to do it, you know. What would Morphy be like today? Well, Filthy Bishop, who are you? You're playing pretty aggressive. You remind me of me when I was like really young or something. I'm gonna play H6 here or what? Let's play E5. I had a game, actually, I looked at today where I was white in a BOGO, and I did exactly what Filthy Bishop's doing against a very solid player. And ironic that I looked at that game today, because I played exactly like Filthy Bishop. I went like really psycho, left my king in the center, tried to checkmate black, and I looked back on it and I said to myself, you know, I played horribly, but I respect, like, you know, my aggression and my creativity. And that's something that we lose touch with. I talked about this, about psychology and looking at your old games. And the older we get, like, the more biased we kind of become in these, like, we start to do things by rote, you know, because it worked in the past. And then you stop thinking and you start doing things routinely. And so it's important to have an open mind and be able to do like crazy things, like leave your king in the center on the white side of a BOGO Indian. You know, it's a closed position, somewhat closed position. It's not totally, it shouldn't be condemned like out of hand. And it's important not to lose your perspective and the ability to play creative chess. So kind of respect what Filthy Bishop's trying to do here. I tried to do the same kind of thing. And I got hammered, and I learned from it, you know. But it's important to be open-minded. Morphy spanked Anderson, who had an even score against Steinitz. Okay, good night, Swedlife. Morphy was Morphy. The guy was a genius. I mean, in any generation. I hate it when people try to compare, like, Carlsen to Fischer and Kasparov. It's very difficult. So e4 here. I guess I should just lock it down with f4. We could play knight f6, I guess. Knight d7. Yeah. Knight d7 is interesting, like sacking a pawn. Speaking of creativity. Try to be creative ourselves. We'll sack a pawn for active lines. Well, 2 pawns at the moment, but we're definitely getting one of them back. Filthy bishop. What else, man? Knight d2. That's the only move. And hopefully we can turn this position to our advantage. I don't see a direct breakthrough at the moment for me. I can win the pawn back. Directly. We'll reach an ending like a rook ending, probably. I'd rather not trade queens if I could help it. Looks a little hard to stop him, though, because he's got the queen on. Queenside castling is allowed for white here. So I'm not really going to be able to prevent him from castling queenside in this game. So anyway, last game for the stream, guys. Can you go f5? 8 f5. Knight takes e3 instead of knight takes e3. Yeah, I don't like it, guys, because Swedlife, I don't like it because g4. It looks like white has really strong counterplay in that kind of position with g4 to me, you know. Looks like I would get absolutely like decimated by Evgeny Bareyev. White plays, turns it into some kind of super sharp counterattack, opposite wing kind of position. Similar to this, like, but better. Now, Filthy Bishop losing a pawn because of that queenside structure. So it should be a win for me. He's overextended. It's kind of like the Sicilian guys. If you play the Sicilian with white and if your attack fails, you've extended your position and you have a lot of weaknesses, and generally speaking, most cases you'll lose. Here, where do I want to go? Well, if I go to the center, yeah, I can go to the center here. Filthy Bishop hanging on. I know what you're up to, man. Yep, very nice. But I'm going to play this. I've got the rook back to consolidate. You can go after my A pawn if you want, I guess. I have B5 there. Oh, you didn't do that. I thought rook. I really thought you have to play rook. B5 here. Guess I'll just play B5. B5 and C6. I'm up a pawn. It should be good chances to win. I have a clear passed pawn. Filthy Bishop likes his increments. He's liking this increment, man. King D5 here. Try to play with active king. Yeah, this looks tough for white. A really big extra pawn. But he's hanging on. Okay, Philly Bishop blundered. So there you have to play rook e3, and still there's drawing chances for white, but the b2 pawn Maybe you need to play b3 or something there. There's some drawing chances for white, but it looks pretty bad. Anyway, guys, thanks for the stream. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. Check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training. We're going to do a new video today over there on YouTube, and we'll see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock Central European time tomorrow, guys. Queenside castling is actually a mouse slip. That's funny. Corrupt Bishop, it was you. But I don't know what else you're going to do beside queenside castling. So anyway, thanks everybody. We had fun today, and congratulations to the one player who beat me, and Will Wolf, who got a draw, and I think there were some other interesting games too. So well played, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. And any challenges that are remaining, Shevaningen, I'd like to play maybe tomorrow, maybe in the off time. If you see me on Lee Chess tonight or sometime, I'd be happy to play with you. So we'll see you guys later, and stay cool. Bye-bye.